Hello, my name is Ian Contover, and this is The Current Buzz. Thank you for watching today. Today we have Richard Howe, Jr. He's a Register of Deeds of North, right? And there is a South, is that correct?
Correct. It's the Middlesex North Registry of Deeds.
Okay. We're going to talk about the Registry of Deeds. It's an office that, it's an elected office. It's a 6-year term, and you're up for election this year, is that correct? Right.
Yes.
But we're going to talk about homestead, so get a piece of paper and pencil out if you want to learn about homestead in regards to your home. You can't use a homestead on an apartment, right? It's
correct. If you're a tenant, the homestead really doesn't apply.
Doesn't apply, and you have to be. It has to be your principal home for a homestead. Is that correct?
Correct.
All right. Register of Deeds, right? North Middlesex County, right? It comprises of, and I'll read the towns so the people watching could know whether they're in the north. It's Billerica, Chelmsford, Dunstable, Tewksbury, Westford, Carlisle, Dracut, Lowell, Tingsboro, and Wilmington. Have I missed?
That sounds good. I have memorized in alphabetical order. It's Billerica, Carlisle, Chelmsford, Dracut, Dunstable, Lowell, Tewksbury, Tingsboro, Westford, and Wilmington. So
Okay.
there's 10 in all.
Okay.
So the county's not divided symmetrically because there's 44 cities and towns in the southern district, which is in Cambridge, and there's only 10 in the northern, which is in Lowell.
So there's another Register of Deeds south,
Correct.
Middlesex County.
Yes.
Okay. So Register of Deeds, we're going to talk about what you guys do. I mean, what does a Register of Deeds do? I mean,
well, the Registry of Deeds is the place where the official record of who owns what property is kept. And it's really been around since shortly after the Pilgrims arrived.
Before God.
Well, not so much that. And it's most of our real estate law comes from really medieval England. But recording law and practice actually originated here in colonial America, and then it migrated back to the British Isles.
Oh.
And one of the reasons was in the frontier setting in early English America, life was very precarious. So if you had an important document like the deed to your property and your cabin burned down or your house burned down, it was lost. So they decided to establish a governmental office that would keep the official record. But even from back then up until now, the registry has never kept the original document. We've only made copies. In the 1600s, it was done by a guy with a quill pen, and then eventually it was a typewriter, and then microfilm prints, and scanned images. And today, sometimes we don't even have paper originals. It's just an electronic document from start to finish.
Well, who signs the mortgage and the deed? I mean, you have to have that on record, right? Is that correct?
Well, you do, but under Massachusetts law, as of 2005, with the Uniform Electronic Transactions Act, UETA for short, that says that any law that requires a signature is complied with by the electronic equivalent of the signature. It also says anything that has to be in writing is complied with by the electronic equivalent. So if you send somebody an email, that could satisfy the requirement that something be in writing, even though it's never existed on a piece of paper.
Oh, I see. Okay. All right, that's interesting. So technology has taken over.
It's really moved rapidly. I mean, we've always had changes in technology, like from the pen to the typewriter, but the speed with which it has changed how we operate from when I took office back in 1995 up till the present is amazing, and it doesn't stop, which is why I want to get reelected, because there are so many new things that we're planning to do in the future.
Okay. Planning to do, you're on Gorham Street, right, at Superior Court, is that correct?
Right, we're in the Middlesex Superior Courthouse at 360 Gorham Street, but the registry will move into the new Lowell Judicial Center.
That's what I was going to ask you, yeah.
Yeah, so that's ahead of schedule and under budget. That's not.
Wow.
Yeah, that's not, and it's going to be, I think, one of the most expensive buildings ever constructed by the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. It's not far from the current registry. It's in what we call the Hamilton Canal District in Lowell. It's right off of Thorndike Street, but it's a 7-story building that really dominates the skyline, and it's going to consolidate all of the judicial operations, not only in Lowell, but much of Middlesex County. So Superior Court, District Court, Housing Court, Juvenile Court, and Probate Court will all have major presences there, as will the Registry of Deeds.
But there's no parking yet.
No, but the city is close to breaking ground on a 850 spot garage that's about a quarter mile away. So they're hoping that that opens at the same time the court does.
I see. Okay. So when you move, when will that take place, and where is your location in that building?
Well, the
Or will
building,
be.
the building's supposed to, the Judicial Center is supposed to be completed next August, so I would think move-in would be in September or October of 2019. The registry space is actually on the first floor, and I think part of the reason for that is we have a lot of foot traffic coming in and out of the building, and that'll save people having to go upstairs or up an elevator. Although I will say that they're estimating that between employees, jurors, litigants, and members of the public, they're expecting like 1,400 people a day to be coming in and out of that building. And it doesn't have a cafeteria or coffee shop. So, well, and you know, the Commonwealth says, hey, it's expensive to build these buildings. We're not going to do non-governmental things. But I think it's a great opportunity for entrepreneurs in the area to, you know, if there's the existing restaurants, like not far away is Cambodia Town. There's some great Southeast Asian restaurants there. And so I think their business will really perk up.
Right, right. Maybe a big name restaurant will come in, like Bertucci's or something like that, maybe, you know.
Sure, it's possible, but that part of Lowell is it's really going to kind of explode in a really good way in the next couple of years.
Yeah, that's interesting. And I believe it will, especially with a building like that. So what are the hours in regards to the registrar's open?
So the office is open from 8:30 till 4:15 Monday through Friday, except for holidays. But we really are open 24/7 in a way, because every single document that's ever been recorded, from one that was recorded 5 minutes ago to the first one recorded back in 1629, are all scanned and they're all freely available.
All of them are scanned?
Yes, it's more than 14 million pages. And that's all been done since I've been there. It was a big undertaking. And they're all freely available on our website, which is lowelldeeds.com. In addition to that, if people are trying to find a copy of their deed, or they have a question, they can use the email link on the website, lowelldeeds.com. And that email comes right to me. And when I'm not in the office, it comes on my phone. And so if it's something that's particularly pressing, I'll answer it on a Saturday or Sunday, or, you know, if it's just a regular request, I'll wait till Monday morning. But I'm the one that gets back to everybody.
Now that I have you here, I was on lowelldeeds.com. Looking at some information, and I wanted to make a copy, and I couldn't make a copy of it. It just wouldn't come out as a copy.
Well, and
you could, right? Can you make a copy?
Yeah, I mean, I'll have to send you the instructions on how to do that, because that's a big part of it. Is you can download it as any document as a PDF file, or you can print it. I advise people to download it to their computer, because they're scanned images, so they're pretty big files. And so if you're trying to print it online, there's too many places where a glitch can occur. So if you just download it to your computer, it's a much more stable way of printing it.
Okay, so PDF it to the computer, and then copy it from there.
Yeah, it's called the basket function, just like on Amazon, only we don't charge anything. So you put it in the basket and then you download it.
I see. That's before PDF, before you PDF it, is that? Because I couldn't, for some reason, it just wouldn't, I could see the copy.
Yep. So PDF is a file format. It's a very stable one. I know you know, but I just want to make sure the viewers know. Okay. And so, you know, if you download it in that way, it's usually pretty easy. And if you have trouble doing it, just wait till 8:30 on Monday morning, call us, and we'll print it and mail it to you by U.S. mail. And that's a big thing, is that you can get a free copy of your deed from us. You don't need your original deed for anything. People sort of have this misconception that people compare it to having a title to your car. So if I was going to sell you my car, I would sign the original title over to you. That's not how real estate works. If I want to sell you my house, I just type up a brand new deed, I sign it, and I deliver it to you. So you really don't need the original document. And if you have it, that's great. If you can't find it, don't panic. Just call us, either download it from our website, or call us and say, hey, I need a copy of my deed, and it'll be in the mail to you that day.
Now, in regards to homestead, we'll talk about homestead. Do you need the deed, or you need the book number once you start a homestead?
No. So let's just say what a homestead is.
Yeah,
Under
okay.
Massachusetts law,
Right.
if you declare a homestead by recording a homestead form at the Registry of Deeds, you protect your home from creditors. So let's say that somebody's injured on your property, they sue you, they recover a big judgment against you, and the judgment exceeds any homeowner's insurance you have. Well, they'll look to your other assets to try to collect that debt. And for most of us, our most valuable asset is our home, our personal residence.
Right.
And creditors know that, and they can force the sale of your home and use the proceeds to pay down the debt. Now, if you have a homestead, they can seize other assets, like if you have a big bank account or if you have a vacation home, they can get that, but they can't force you out of your house.
Your principal home.
Right, and this actually goes back 150 years to the day when we were more of an agrarian community, and farmers would often borrow money to buy seed or have their living expenses, and they'd have a bad year, and they would lose their farms through foreclosure. And so when you think homestead, think protecting the home, keeping you from getting thrown out of your home because of creditors.
So it's like an insurance policy, more or less. I mean, is that?
It is in a way. It doesn't replace insurance,
Right.
but it's almost like an add-on, and it only costs $35 to record the homestead. It's good for as long as you own the home, and it's there's no downside to it. It doesn't affect your credit. It doesn't keep you from being able to refinance if you choose.
So if somebody, let's put it this way, let's say I had credit card debt and I couldn't pay it, I lost my job or something like that, I would be protected in regards to my home?
Yeah, that's a great example of it, because we see executions where, they're in favor of Capital One and for $20,000 or $30,000, and the sheriff could have a sheriff's sale, it's just like a foreclosure auction, except it's to satisfy a debt. There's a couple of debts that it doesn't protect against. One is your real estate taxes. If you can't not pay your taxes and have the homestead protect you. Same with your mortgage. If you borrowed a lot of money from a bank and secured it with a mortgage and then didn't pay it, and they came to foreclose, and you said, well, wait a minute, I have a homestead, you can't sell my house, nobody would loan you money. So your mortgage isn't covered by homestead.
I see.
And the other one that people ask about a lot is nursing home care. If you owe a lot of money to a nursing home, it would protect that, but most times people are talking about having their nursing home care paid by Medicaid, by the state. And if that happens, the state does get a lien on your property after you pass away or after your surviving spouse passes away. And so the homestead doesn't protect against that.
So would they attach a deed to the original deed? How's that conveyed?
How the homestead works?
Well, in regards to Medicaid, you said.
Oh.
How would they put attachment?
Yeah,
what would
but
they call
so there is an automatic lien on your real estate that you own if you get assistance from Medicaid.
Right, got it.
Right? And so, but they don't do anything with it as long as you're alive and your spouse is alive. So when the last of the spouses passes away, instead of the property going directly to, say, the children, the state would have an opportunity to take back the money that it had paid for the care of the parent.
Right.
Now, there's ways to protect yourself, but to do that, you need to go to an estate planning lawyer, and you need to do it several years in advance of the need arising.
I see. Now, there's a new bill that was passed in 2011 where a home in trust can now be on homestead.
Yeah, the 2011 there was a major amendment, and it cleared up a lot of ambiguities. One was that if you have your house in a trust, it was questionable about whether or not a homestead would apply to that. Now it's very clear. If the beneficiary of the trust lives in the home as his or her primary residence, then the trustee can record a homestead on behalf of the beneficiary.
I see.
The other ambiguity cleared up was whether you had to do a new homestead after you refinanced. You do not. Having a new mortgage on your property does not affect the homestead. And the third thing was that before 2011, a married couple, only one spouse could file the homestead, but it protected the whole family. Under this new law, both spouses must sign the homestead. to get protection for the whole family.
Okay, the homestead, I have the homestead here. It's two pages.
Right.
And go online, download it, fill it out, $35. Go to 360 Gorham Street.
Right. There's two ways to do it. One,
Okay.
you can just walk into the Registry of
Right.
Deeds, 360 Gorham
Right.
Street. We have the blank forms. We're notaries. You can fill out the form
It will
there.
be notarized, right?
Yeah,
You
it has to be
guys will
notarized. We'll notarize it. You record it. The filing fee is $35. We only take cash or check. And the whole process takes 5 minutes. If you can't make it to the registry, go to lowelldeeds.com, find the homestead link, download the form, fill it out yourself, take it to a notary that you happen to know, get your signature notarized, and then just mail it to us. The instructions for doing that are right there on the
So
website.
how would they know it's registered once it's mailed to you? Do you send a copy to them, or they can look online?
They could look online, but we only keep the original. We only keep a copy. We give the original back. So if you do it in person, within that 5 minutes, we will have scanned the document and handed it back to you.
right.
If you mail it to us, we'll just mail the original back to you the next day.
Did I ask you, do you have to know the page number and the book number of your deed or mortgage?
Well, the form calls for that. So the book and page number is sort of a numerical identification
Right.
number of your deed, because we used to put documents in a numbered book and a numbered page, and that's how you found it. What the homestead requires is that you describe the property in a legal sense of the term. You can do that in a shorthanded way by putting the street address plus the book and page number of the deed by which you became the owner of the property. You could lay out a whole description, 100 feet this way and 50 feet northerly, and that would do the trick too, but it's a little more complicated.
Oh, okay. So it's pretty easy. You could fill it out in 5 minutes.
Right, and the important thing to know is that when you need it, it's too late to get it, because it only protects against debts that come into existence after you have the
Good
homestead.
point.
So if somebody gets hurt on your property today and you run down to the registry next Tuesday and file the homestead, it's questionable of whether it would protect against any claim that arose.
So I want everybody out there to put a homestead or check to see if you have a homestead on your home, in condo too, also, right?
Yes, if you own it, right. And if you're not sure if you have one, just go to lowelldeeds.com. There's a yellow box, click search, enter your name in the right boxes, and
Technology.
you'll see every document that contains your name in it.
Even your neighbor's documents. if you
Yeah,
wanna
well,
look
and
for
if
that, yeah.
and if it's somebody, if your
It's a
name
public
is
record.
if your name is Joseph Smith, it'll be every Joseph Smith whose document. So it might not be just yours.
Right.
And if you have trouble doing that, just call our number. It's 978-322-9000, and just ask the person that answers the phone. I wonder, could you check if I have a homestead, and we'll look it up for you.
What's that, 978
978-322-9000.
322 9000? Okay. Make sure you call them today. So we were talking a little earlier about foreclosures and sale, and you see the numbers of foreclosures coming in, and sales. Homes are a lot of money these days. What's happening there in regards to sales?
Well,
what do you see?
You're
the first one that sees it.
Sure, the primary
luckily.
purpose of the registry of deeds is to keep all these records,
Right.
so people can do title exams, things like that. But I have a ringside seat to what's going on in the real estate market, and I try to do a lot of reports and analysis.
Good point.
So what's happening is the number of deeds recorded in our district is down slightly from a year ago. So the activity is not increasing, but what is increasing is the prices.
Why is that?
Well, I think it's supply and demand. I think there's demand for houses, and there aren't that many on the market, so people are willing to pay more. What I saw from January through May, the appreciation was something like 10 to 15% as compared to the same time in 2017.
Wow.
And it's interesting that's happening, because I think just yesterday the interest rates were raised by the Federal Reserve.
Right.
And so,
Quarter of a point, if I recall.
right, but there's a trickle-down effect on mortgages.
I see.
And so the prices are going up, but at the same time, there's still a lot of foreclosures. It's not like it was in 2008 when the bubble burst,
Right.
but there's quite a few.
Why is that? Why
Well,
would you go?
I haven't figured it out, and what's really intriguing is that most of the mortgages being foreclosed were originated during the bubble. So they're from 2004 through 2007. So I don't know whether those people just haven't been paying their mortgages for 10 years and the banks just got around to foreclosing now, or whether people like had a catastrophic injury or a divorce or a loss of job and they just couldn't pay. But I think in a way it's encouraging because new mortgages aren't being foreclosed at a very rapid pace. So I think some of the lessons learned from the financial crisis was be a little more prudent in who you're loaning money to. And I think the statistics are corroborating that.
I see. That's a good point. Condos more so than homes in regards to foreclosures?
No, it's sort of just across the board. And to put it in perspective, last year, say 2017, there might have been 150 foreclosures. In 2003, when everybody was riding high, there were maybe 40. In 2008, when we were at the worst of it, there might have been 600.
Wow.
So we're not close to where it was during the crisis, but there's a lot more than there were when the boom was going on.
All right. Richard Howe Jr., he's a Register of Deeds from Middlesex North. He's running for office. It's a term that 6 years is a long time to be.
Yeah, it goes by quickly. And if I could, I'd just ask people for their vote. I'll be on the ballot in November. Richard Howe, Registered Deeds in the Middlesex North District.
Definitely.
Is a lot I'd like to continue to accomplish.
Now, tell me about technology in regards to your business, in regards to Register. What's happening there?
You know, it never stops changing, but the two big things on the horizon are, one, these purely electronic documents that I've talked about before.
Right.
If you've bought a house in the last 10 or 15 years, you know that you have to sign about 20 pieces of paper at your real estate closing. Well, the next generation of home buyers doesn't want to do that. They want to pull out their phone and swipe it a few times and have it consummated. And that's legal.
So are we going to have an app? Is that it?
Well, I think it's right. I just think people aren't comfortable with it yet. So it's legal, it's feasible. But it's funny, one of the new parts of my job is cybersecurity.
Wow.
Because
Good
anybody
point.
that has records, digital records, is potentially a target.
And the deeds are public record, right?
Yes, Yeah, but I often see, as you know, I was in the United States Army for 4 years back in the 1980s. I was an intelligence officer.
Right.
And one of my primary responsibilities was safeguarding our information from the Russians. And little did I know back then that in 2018, as the Register of Deeds, that would be a useful skill to have as the Register of Deeds.
Good point. Good point, yeah.
The other thing we're doing is, for 1,000 years, the most efficient way of organizing information about land is with a map, right? Maps have been around forever.
I love maps.
Everybody uses maps today. If you get in your car and you poke in an address in your GPS, it finds your way. And so I think a better way to present our records is integrating them into a map. So if you were able to, if you want a copy of your deed, rather than play around with a searchable database, if you went to a Google map type of setup, zoomed into your house, clicked a button, and it said see deed, and you would click the deed and the deed would pop up.
That's great.
And so I kind of saw this coming. And so for the past 10 years, I've been organizing our data in a way that would make that happen pretty easily. And I've been linking all of the deeds in the chain of title. So once you saw your deed, you could press another button that said previous deed, previous deed, previous deed, and track the ownership history of the home far back.
A homestead would come up with that too, if you had a homestead, right.
Right, and so we're not quite where, our computer system couldn't quite handle the whole mapping thing, but I've got the data all in place so that when we do get a new computer system, which hopefully will be next year.
When you move into the new courthouse.
We can just pour all of this data into it rather than just starting then and taking 10 years to get where we are now.
Richard, thank you for coming on the show. Appreciate it very much. The time flew by. I have 10,000 questions, but under the circumstances, we have to end the show.
Well, thank you.